We can live a day or two without water, we can't live a day or two without air. And I tell you, and this is an important fact, by Allah, the need for Iman is far more than the need for air. Because by Allah, you don't know where you would be. In an instant, death could come to you, and by Allah, in an instant, death could come to you, and you could end up in an eternity of hellfire. You see, in the hereafter, after death, it's only two places. Either Jannah or Jahannam. That's it. That's it. It's either you're going to paradise or you're going to hell. There's no middle path. There is no way you can just end up on planet Earth again. You wish there was reincarnation. It's not going to happen. It's not happening. You're not going to come back as a rat. You're not going to come back as an insect. You're going to be a human being for the rest of eternity. Either in the depths of Jahannam or in the highest of Jinan, the highest of paradise. So you have only one life. And this meager life of 50 years or 70 years will decide your eternity. This is where you are judging your eternity. This is the life by which you are buying your eternity. And so you have only one choice and only one chance. So my brothers and sisters in Islam, this Iman that we have is really worth saving. For more reasons than one. For more reasons than one. Because you see, we all have pure hearts, that's true. But we also have hearts that are made of glass and fragile, and they turn, they move. As the statement of the poets, they used to say, the Arab poets, they say, "Ma summiya al-insan illa li nasihi, wala al-qalbu illa annahu yataqallabu." Mankind was not called mankind, insan in Arabic, except because he is someone who forgets. Nisyan in Arabic. So that's where insan comes from. And the heart has not been called the heart except it turns and wavers. An Arabic word called yataqallab. And so from taqallub or yataqallab comes the word heart, qalb. Because the heart is something that turns in and out. Today it believes, tomorrow it doesn't. Today it feels good, tomorrow it doesn't. Today it likes Islam, tomorrow it doesn't. Today it believes in Allah, tomorrow it doesn't. Today it's doing good deeds, tomorrow it's not. Just now you went and prayed, but now you are sinning, for example. And that's how the heart is. Very, very weak. So it is for this reason why it's really important to preserve your heart. It's also important to preserve your heart because Rasulullah ﷺ, even he was warned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if he did not stabilize his own heart, and if he did not stabilize his own Iman, and if he did not protect his own Iman from being blemished, then even he would not find any safety from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَوْلَا أَن ثَبَّتْنَاكَ لَقَدْ كِدْتَ تَرْكَنُ إِلَيْهِمْ شَيْئًا قَلِيلًا إِذًا لَأَذَقْنَاكَ ضِعْفَ الْحَيَاةِ وَضِعْفَ الْمَمَاتِ ثُمَّ لَا تَجِدُ لَكَ بِهِ عَلَيْنَا نَصِيرًا. Allah says in the beautiful Quran, He says, O Muhammad ﷺ, if we did not give you steadfastness in your Iman, if we did not give your heart steadfastness, وَلَوْلَا أَن ثَبَّتْنَاكَ, if we did not give your heart steadfastness, لَقَدْ كِدْتَ تَرْكَنُ إِلَيْهِمْ شَيْئًا قَلِيلًا, you would have tended to turn towards the disbelievers and towards their path and towards the desires of the heart, even a little bit. And إِذًا, if that was to happen, إِذًا لَأَذَقَنَاكَ ضِعْفَ الْحَيَاةِ, if you were to do that, if you were to not protect your Iman, and this is Allah telling Rasulullah ﷺ, if you didn't do that, if you didn't protect your Iman, didn't safeguard your Iman, and you tended to waver your heart towards desires, I would have made you taste double the life and double the punishment. إِذًا لَأَذَقْنَاكَ ضِعْفَ الْحَيَاةِ, I would have made you taste life twice, وَضِعْفَ الْمَمَاتِ, and death twice. ثُمَّ لَا تَجِدُ لَكَ بِهِ عَلَيْنَا نَصِيرًا, and you would not have found anyone to save you from me. This is Allah telling Rasulullah ﷺ. If this is Allah telling Rasulullah ﷺ to be wary of protecting his Iman, what about people like us? What about people like us by Allah? Allah of a surety warns us as well, that if we fail to protect our Iman, Allah will of a surety take us to account and cause us to be of those people who have lost a lot of good in this life and in the hereafter. Also, my friends, another reason why we should be concerned about protecting Iman is because by Allah, not a single day comes except that the day is has far more evil than the day before it. This is why Rasulullah ﷺ said that the last hour will not come until every single day, the evil in it is far more than the evil in the day before it. So today, which is Friday, the 5th of November, in the year 2010 of the Christian calendar, this day has far more evil that Allah has allowed on this earth than yesterday, the Thursday, 4th of November of 2010. This is a fact about which there is simply no doubt about. It is for this reason why the scholars even said that even though Umar bin Abdul Aziz radiallahu anhu, who was the 5th Khalifa, came later, but just before him was kingship and the time of Yazid, where there was a lot of killing and fighting in the Muslim world, that even though Umar bin Abdul Aziz's time was a time of great blessings and mercy of Allah Azza wa Jalla on this earth, even then, his time had far more evil than the time before it. And the time of Umar had far more evil in that time than the time of Abu Bakr. And this is only because, my friends, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed that ultimately by Allah, we will all, the last hour will not come until this world is engulfed in evil. And it is for this reason why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna bayna yaday as-sa'a fitanun ka qita' al-layl al-mudlim, yusbihu ar-rajulu fihi mu'minan wa yumsi kafira, wa yumsi kafiran wa yusbihu mu'mina." What did he say? He said, verily in between the last hour, between the coming of the last hour, is fitna, is evil, like the blackness of the night, darkness of the night. It engulfs you and you don't even realize. In that time, battery's gone. Fitna, evil. Sorry? Okay. All right. In that time, Rasulullah ﷺ said, he said, verily, indeed, in that time, a man will go to sleep in the morning, a Muslim, and will wake up a disbeliever. And he will go to sleep a disbeliever, and he will wake up a believer. And by Allah, isn't that happening now? That is happening right now. That's precisely happening now. Do you know, for example, September 11, when that fitna happened of September 11, how many newspaper reports did I find of people, for example, just on the day of September 11? On the day of September 11, how many people, Muslims, in America, actually disbelieved in Allah because they said, you know what, oh my God, Muslims have done it, so therefore, how can I be a Muslim? How many people do I know of, myself, that went out, they left Islam and they put up the American flag on their houses and said, no, I'm an American before I'm a Muslim? How many people actually? These sort of events, Allah Azza wa Jal makes them as a furqan, as a division. Those people who disbelieve and those people who believe. So my friends, this is a fitna. And how many families do I know of, Muslim families, where their children have become disbelievers? Don't you know of families like that? I'm sure that you know of that. Do you know, when I was in South Africa, we know, I love South Africa. Muslims over there are strong. Great community, strong community. Very good community, mashallah. But in South Africa, I remember that there is a drug facility, drug rehabilitation facility, not for just any Muslim, but for Muslims who are huffaz of Quran. But then they became addicted to drugs. We live in a time when this is happening. We live in a time when fitna is all around us. We live in a time when people leave the deen and then they come back, and they go and they come back, and it's amazing the level of fitna. It's amazing what our kids are being taught at school. It's amazing, and possibly no one amongst us except that one of our children or one of our people in our lives are going to be touched by this fitna or the other. So it is absolutely critical to preserve our Iman. And not just for this reason as well, because the fitna is so strong, but also because the challenges that we face as a community is so strong. I remember landing in Heathrow once, And I picked up a newspaper and it said on it, on the headlines, it said 74% of British kids in schools think Muslims are dirty people. You know, kids don't think of the word terrorist. They don't know what terrorist is. But they know what ugly and beautiful is, and they will know what dirty and clean is, right? So they said that they did a polling, and they found 74% of British kids think Muslims are dirty people. How are you going to change that? Imagine your kid going the same school at these 74%. What are they going to think? What are they going to say? So imagine the struggle against their own Iman that they will face in this 21st century. Also, I remember being on a panel on ABC radio. I remember one of the professors of media from Sydney University called in, and he said that he had done a research on the number of media articles regarding Muslims in Australia, and he found 97, did he say, or 96? I've forgotten the number, but it was in the high 90s. He said 96 or 97% of the media reports regarding Muslims in Australia are always negative. We are creating a community that doesn't like Muslims. There is a community outside there that thinks we are, I don't know what. Perhaps we're not human. Perhaps they're from Mars, Venus, Jupiter. Perhaps they think we are, I don't know what they think we are. But subhanAllah, they think we are not, we are less than Australian. And so my friends, this is a challenge. If the fitna of sex, drugs and rock and roll is not enough, if the fitna of the desires of this dunya and wealth is not enough, if the fitna that Allah has already decreed on this earth is not enough, then on top of that we have these challenges that are being put upon us. Yet as a community we are far more concerned about building our own homes and far less concerned about everything else surrounding it. You might actually be building your homes, by the way, my friends, but your children may be living as disbelievers in those homes. That is not a successful plan. That is not a great plan. There has to be a better plan that you can come up with. So in the 21st century, we must come up with a better plan to lead our life. There's a few points of advice that I have for a community to preserve the Iman, and for an individual to preserve their Iman. For the community, my friends, I would love for you all to focus on education. But Allah, when education comes into the heart, and when the young ones learn about the deen, it stays in their hearts. Young minds are like sponges. They will take it and it will stay with them. In an authentic narration, Rasulullah ﷺ said, when a young child memorizes the Qur'an, Allah causes the Qur'an to be molded into his flesh and blood. Amazing hadith, wallahi. It's in Tabarani. He said, authentic hadith, he said what? A young child who memorizes the Qur'an, Allah causes the Qur'an to be molded into his flesh and blood. Meaning what? Meaning it's part of his soul, part of his body. He is from the party of Allah. Allah will take care of him. Even when you can't, and you are down in the belly of the grave, at that point, someone will look after your kid, and that is Allah Azza wa Jal. And so, focus on making your children learn the deen whilst they're still young. Not when they become old. Don't say that, okay, I will focus them on maths and science now and forget about Islam. One of the things that I did, and I'm a living example, you can excel in both Islam and both secular sciences. You can. You can and you will. And you must make your children excel in both of them. Yes, they can be a doctor, they can be a lawyer, and they can be a sheikh as well. They can learn Islam and they can learn other than that as well. You don't have to choose just one way, you can do both. It is possible. And you can make them do it. And this is critical that you do. That's number one. I would love for this community to not focus on masjids anymore, but to focus on schools. Focus on schools. You know, if I fundraise for a masjid, I could probably raise $500,000 right now. But if I fundraise for a school or a dawah organization or Al-Kawthar or whatever else, possibly not even $10,000 would come from me. And this is the mentality of people, that they think the masjid is going to give them Jannah, but schools won't. But really it is knowledge that stays with us. We live in a time where information age, where knowledge is far more powerful than anything else. So focus on schools. In 1960s, in the 1970s, I remember reading a statistics about the number of masjids in UK. They had, do you know how many masjids there was in UK in 1960, 1970? 30 masjids only. 30 masjids in all of UK. In 1990, do you know how many masjids there were? Please, give me a number. In UK. Any number? 300, anything else? Uncle, what do you think? I'm trying to engage Uncle here. Uncle, what do you think? Give us a number, Uncle. 1,000. 3,000. 3,000. From 30 to 3,000. Can you see how the community has been focusing on masjids? And this is precisely what's happening here as well. Masjid, 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 masjid. Fine, great, it's good. But you can build a school and inside it could be a masjid as well, couldn't you? Yeah. At the end of the day, I would love for this community to focus on schools. And this is my message wherever I go. Schools, schools, schools. And not just build a school and then let your kids go there and let non-Muslim teachers teach there. No, by school I mean the whole 9 yards. A school plus quality Islamic education, plus quality secular education, quality Muslim teachers, teaching quality adab and akhlaq, and teaching quality Islamic knowledge. Does that make sense? This is what I mean by schools. So as a community, please focus on knowledge. Please focus on schools. Please focus on bringing your kids back to the deen. As an individual, and this is my last part, and as a family, what is my advice? My advice is to the elders, not to the kids. I'm not going to talk to the kids because I'm going to talk to the elders. You see, at the end of the day, the kids are going to look at the father. If the father is great, the kid will say, I want to be like him. If the father is not great, then he's going to say, oh Allah, don't make me like my father. You want kids to say, I want to be like my dad. I want to be that man. And you want your children to say, I'm proud of him. Not just that, you want Allah to preserve your children. And the best way that Allah will preserve your children is if you are righteous and pious. In the authentic narration, in the Quran, we know there's a verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Khidr, alayhi salatu wasalam, who was a prophet of God, he did a few things. Khidr, who was a prophet of God, when Musa alayhi salatu wasalam went to Khidr, this is in Surah Kahf, when Musa went with Khidr in Surah Kahf, he did 3 things. The first thing that Khidr did was, there was a boat upon which Musa and Khidr was, and then he broke the boat. And so Musa said, why did you break the boat? That belonged to poor people. Khidr said, keep quiet, I'll tell you later. The second thing he did was, there was a man that was walking past and Khidr killed the man. Why did you kill the man? He was an innocent man. Khidr said, keep quiet, I'll tell you later. Then the third and last thing that they did, was that they went to a town in which there was a wall that belonged to orphans in that village. And the wall was about to fall down, and so Khidr fixed the wall. And so Musa said, alayhi said, why did you fix the wall? Why didn't you ask for money for it? And so Khidr said, that's it, I've lost my patience. I'm going to tell you now what happened. So Khidr told him regarding the reason why he fixed the wall without actually asking for compensation, is that the wall belonged to 2 orphans in the village. This is important. Listen to this attentively. He said the wall belonged to 2 orphans in the village. And their father was a righteous man. So Allah wanted to preserve the gold that was there underneath the wall. Because if the wall fell, then it would fall on the gold and the gold would be hidden forever. Allah wanted to preserve the gold of the orphans. So He told me to rectify the foundation of the wall. And then when the orphans had become older, Allah will cause the gold to come out of the earth, and then the orphans will take that gold. You can read this in Surah Kahf, when you go back, the chapter of the cave in the Quran. Ibn Abbas said, Allah wanted Khidr to fix the wall. Allah wanted good for the orphans because of the father, who was a righteous man. How many orphans are out there that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not caring that much about their goodness and kindness, right? How many orphans do we know of that there are sometimes do not have this same mercy that these 2 orphans in this verse of Quran are actually getting? Why? Because their father was a righteous man. It is for this reason why, my friends, one of the scholars of Islam by the name of Sa'id ibn Musayyib, he used to look at his son, and he used to say, my son, I am going to pray more to Allah. I'm going to pray more, and I'm going to fast more for your sake. Meaning what? Meaning that when I become a better person, and I become more righteous and more pious, then Allah will look after you. Just like Allah looked after those two orphans, because of the righteousness of their father. So the fathers and the mothers in the audience, if you want your children, and by Allah I know you are a group and a community that loves to look after your children. You want good for it, I know. You want your children to be better than you, I know. You want your children to be the best out there, I know. But Allah, there's only one way. And that is only by you becoming better yourself. If you become better yourself, if you become more knowledgeable, more righteous, more pious, then your son will say, I want to be like him. And Allah will look after your children when you die. And Allah will look after your children when you're in the belly of the grave, when the angels are coming and telling you about what is happening to your child, and you have no ability, no power to say anything else to them.